Okay, so let's write feet up here at the top. You might need a second page for this. Okay, we're going to use rectangles, squares, and triangles to start the foot. So I want to start first with your foot from the side view. So let's draw just a basic rectangle. This is going to represent our leg coming down. Our ankle bone is going to be about right there. Okay, at the end of the leg, at the start of the heel. And then we're just going to use a square to start the heel. This heel is going to be kind of rounded at the base. In fact, sometimes I like to even put an oval in to remind myself that it's a heel. It has to be rounded. A heel is not a square. Okay, it has a round concave to it. Then you're going to pull out a triangle from the side of the square. Okay, this triangle should be about the size of 2 more of these ovals. Okay, so if you went too long, let's say like that, you want to chop off the front of that triangle. Okay, and that is where our toes are going to connect. So you could draw a 4th oval, kind of like so. We could convert this into a cylinder to represent our toes if we're just using basic forms to get the overall shape of our foot. Now, remember that this foot should be the length of your forearm. So you might have to relate it up to your arm to make sure that it is long enough. Okay, or short enough, depending on how you draw it. Now, these little ovals that we're placing in helps us get the curvature of our foot. So if you're looking at the inside of your foot, we're going to go around your heel. You're going to kind of arc up with the same arc of that oval, and then go around that 3rd oval to get the inside shape of your foot, because your inside of your foot has an arch, right? So you want to make sure that you're showing that in your drawing. So this would be looking at the inside of the foot. If you're looking at the outside of the foot, you don't have an arch on the outside, so you're just going to kind of come straight across like that if you're working on the outside of the foot. Okay, and this is really the only basic structure you need when you're drawing feet in your project. Okay, now a lot of you guys have different action figures, so your foot can bend at different spots depending on what your figure is doing. If you're just in a basic walking position and your leg is stepping out this way, okay, that's our leg. If your foot is flexed, okay, you really can't pivot this heel forward like this. This doesn't work. You can't do that. Your foot doesn't bend that way. So you want to keep it straight down if it's flexed. Now, you can move the top of your foot up a little bit. So you're going to extend your triangle up a little bit. You can use your ovals to help you get the right length. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Perhaps this toe, though, if I'm in a flex position, is not straight out. Maybe I want it to come up a little bit, right, if I'm flexing my toe. Okay, round out my heel, create my arch, round out the bottom of my foot. My toe could be a basic cylinder to start before I shape anything. Okay, here's the ground. So I could be walking with a flexed foot, something like that. If it is dragging behind me, perhaps my leg is coming this direction. Okay, here's my heel. Here's the triangle. Okay, now I could, in fact, push this down because this joint right here can point down, right? So I could pivot it down something like that. If I want it more extreme, there's 1 oval, there's 2 ovals, there's 3. Okay, now if I'm walking on the ground, my toe can't go into the ground, so I'm going to have to bend it in order for it to be standing on the ground. Shape the bottom of my foot, turn it into a form. Let's see, there's my toe, and I could be in a walking position. If you want to be in a position where you're like up on your tippy toes, I want to say releve because I've done a lot of dancing. I could turn my ankle here this direction. Here's my ankle. And have it up on its tippy toes, kind of like that if I choose. Okay, so you can kind of pivot it at the points. You're still using squares, triangles, ovals, rectangles. Okay, pretty simple. Now, not everyone is going to be having their foot shown from the side view. So if you want it to come from a 3/4 view or the front view, it's the same approach, but we're going to convert it to be 3-dimensional. So we're taking our square, turning it into a cube. We're taking our pyramid or our triangle and turning it into a pyramid. So if I have my rectangular shape turned into a cube, this is my leg now. My square for my heel is now going to be a cube connected to my leg. And then my triangle is going to come out from there at a slight downward slope. I could draw in my ovals to make sure that I'm getting the right length. 1, 2, 3. There's the top of, or the front of the triangle that might be chopped off, like what's happened up here under this first drawing. Okay, my toes connect here, so I have 5 toes, right? I can extend my toes out. There's 1 toe, 2 toes, 3 toes, 4 toes, 5 toes. Right, toes are funky. I think there's a 5th toe in there. Okay, gonna shape the bottom. My ankle bone, it might be popping out right there. Might be see a little bit over on that side to kind of get a 3/4 view. Okay, so that's kind of the structure from our 3/4 view. If you're looking at it from the front, okay, there's our leg. Our ankle bones might be sticking out a little bit. I'm exaggerating it just a little bit. And we are actually looking at this top part of the foot only. Okay, so if I'm looking at this top part of the foot, it's coming at me, there's foreshortening, so I'm going to flare it out and make it shorter and bigger. Okay, so that's the top part of the foot coming at me. Draw in a section where the toes are going to be connected, and then jot out or draw out where the toes are going to cover. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 toes. So my toes are also going to be foreshortened. So that might be 1 toe, flare it out, see the end of the toe, flare it out, see the end of the toe. Okay, now I'm drawing pretty perfect toes. A lot of toes have a lot of funk to them, right? They're not all the same length. They're usually not perfect little toes that come down like that, right? If you're drawing your toes. Sometimes you have a bigger toe, and then your next toe goes longer, maybe. Just depends on your genetics, and then you might have another little toe. Maybe this little toe's like curled in. Maybe this toe's curled so much you can't even see the fingernail. You know, so toes are funky. Just know that most of you guys will probably be putting shoes on your feet anyway, so you don't even need to worry about drawing all the funkiness of the toe. So if you are interested in drawing shoes, I would recommend starting with the sole of the shoe first. Okay, where is that foot going to be placed? So you're going to come in here and go around your foot because you want your foot to be able to fit on your shoe. Okay, so that's the sole, the rubber that the foot is standing on. Then your sole will have thickness, right? The rubber. So you're going to make it grow. How do you want the sole to look? Do you have a heel? Is it just a flat shoe? Okay, so this is just a simple flat shoe, perhaps. If I turn this into a sandal, maybe I have a strap that comes up and around that holds my foot in. And I have to make sure I go around my foot. Otherwise, it's not going to fit my foot. Okay, if I want something a little bit more complicated, maybe I want to do a boot and it has a heel. So I'm going to establish the sole of my shoe first. Okay, so this sole has to bend with my foot, right? My foot is in action. I have to make sure it goes all the way around. Can't cut any part of my foot off. So if my boot comes back here, my heel has to be a little bit longer here. Come up. Okay, so maybe that's the top of my boot. Now we're going to learn this in class this week, but there are folds. Anywhere where it bends, you're going to have a fold in the fabric. So I might show a little fold there because it's bending. Comes down, it bends again right here. Show a little fold, and then make sure the toe of my boot goes around the toe of my actual toe. Okay. If you're doing anything that has a high heel, you know, this is a perfect setup. If I'm wearing a high heel, I want to make sure that I have my heel touching the ground right where my toe is. Go around my toe. Make it strap up around the foot. Maybe there's a strap that goes around so I don't fall out of my shoe. And you can just really have fun with your shoes, okay? But your feet come first, your shoes come second. Okay, so you can practice that, give it a try, see what you guys can come up with.